Just thought I'd get a quick review out here. I was trying to do 1942 and 1943, the Battle of Midway. These are old shooters, and they're Capcom games, which means they're um, a tad bit difficult. And I'm not the playthroughs that will show up with these. Um, they are not long, and they are not good. Um, Ran into some problems with the games, and this is one of the things why I told you people that I'm not going to sit here and do this on every game, because uh, it's not something I'm wanting to do. For instance, like Ghosts and Goblins, I'm not going to sit there for 20-30 minutes trying to beat the game and trying to go through it twice. Um, just to go through it, because I've already went through it before, and I've already gotten the endings and things like that. So I've already went through it. Um, like I said, there's a lot of other places that you can go that you can watch a complete playthrough. Um, on these, I'm just giving you ideas of the games and my thoughts on the games, and that's basically what I'm doing. And to offer you any ideas, or if it's a game that I'm really familiar with that I can actually go through and beat or something like that, then that's what I'm going to do. Unfortunately, on 1942 and 1943, Capcom held up to its standard of difficulty. I tried 1942 first. I went through, there's 32 stages. I went through the first few stages, and you get 3 lives per continue. You have unlimited continues, so you have unlimited continues, and you have 3 lives. Now, what's the bad thing is when you die, when you lose your first plane, you go back to a checkpoint. I unfortunately ran up on a boss, and it just kept repointing me at the checkpoint because I couldn't shoot the boss down. Another thing is it took up my power ups away from the boss. I had another plane or another 2 planes flying beside of me. It immediately took those out to where I was against the plane by myself. So I'm not going to sit there and try to beat a boss when number one, you take power ups I have earned, and you take those away, and number two, I'm not going to sit there and beat my head against the proverbial wall trying to beat this boss or anything else on that game, for that matter. If it's just going to be, you're just going to keep starting me over at the same checkpoint over and over and over again. And there was maybe 1 or 2 times there where I went from the checkpoint and didn't even get up to the boss. There's still other planes, and they're not even planes that would give you a power up to begin with. So that's kind of upsetting, and that's kind of a pain in the butt. Now, the games do have power ups, but they're few and far between, and they're not really that good anyway. 1942 is kind of sluggish. It's kind of slow. You can hold your hand down on the fire button, but it doesn't fire as fast as what you could with with you shooting yourself. Pressing the button yourself as fast as you could, or whatever you wanted to do on that. It's not to say it's a bad game. I'm just not going to sit there and try to go through 32 stages when there's that much of an issue trying to go through the stages and things like that. I'm just not, excuse me, I'm not going to waste my time doing that and end up getting to the point to where I want to rage quit and just not want to have anything to do with it. Now, 1943, you only have 1 life. You can take a little bit of damage if you have the damage indicator, like the damage power up on. You can take a little bit of a few hits, but once you die, that's it. The one plane, once that plane is gone, you die, and there's unlimited continues again. But there's a problem with this one. On this one, you have unlimited continues, but you only have one life. And when you do continue, you have to start back at the beginning of the level. I think this one only has like 24 stages, but there's almost like a boss type thing at the end of all the stages. I only made it through, I think, 2 stages. I'm not going with just one life, and you can't do anything. And also, on this one, you can get points to make the plane better, but the points and the power-ups, just like on 1942, it should be kind of spread out to where you can have these things and to where you can use them, instead of just, let's put one in the stage and not put any more in the stage. If you just can't get to the end of the stage with your power-up, then you just can't get into the end of the stage. Plus, half the time, there's so many planes flying around on both games. There's so many planes flying around, you can't even hardly see where you're going or where there are shots coming or anything else. It's very, very hard to see. I know these games are older and they're primitive, but at some point, you have got to have, had some sort of semblance on these games on being able to beat them. Number 3 does have a password system. I didn't look up any of the passwords, but there are passwords that are available online. You might go to GameFAQs.com, and they may have a couple of different passwords. Probably would have made the game a little bit more playable. But I did not want to go through it because, like I said, I'm listing you the cons. Like I said, both games are good. Both games are good. But if you have a low tendency to rage, or you get very frustrated very quick, these may not be your cup of tea, because like I said, those couple of things right there that I just listed, those are some bad things about the games. They were good for their time. They were probably even good at the arcades and good for the Nintendo system. But as far as me going through them on there, I'm not gonna sit there and do that. Like I said, I'll give you the gist of how the game's going and everything. This is not going to be a long review video. I like the games, but I'm not going through them. I'm not going all the way through them, because I'm not going to sit there for half an hour to an hour trying to go through a game and end up, getting so ticked off that I don't want to do anything else for the rest of the evening. So, the next time I do some of these streams, might be throughout the week, might be during the days and stuff. We'll have 3D World Runner and 720 Degrees. I can't beat either of these either. 3D World Runner, I can get as far as I can get, and I'll give you some information on it whenever I go through it, what I can figure out. It's a very, very odd game. I'll tell you more history about it whenever I go to review it. Same thing with 720 Degrees. It's the same thing. There's a little bit of history of both of those, and there's a little bit backstory on both of them. It's kind of interesting. I was not able to do this particular video from the room that I usually do, because that room does not have an overhead light. I would have not had any light in that room. As you can see, there's one light here behind me that I'm not using. There's one over top of where I'm at, and I think that provides significant amount of light that you can see this video. My shirt pretty much sums up what I was doing this evening. It is Marvin the Martian, and he is very, very upset, and it's probably one of those times when he says, "You have made me very angry indeed," and that is what the two games have done. Like I said, it's kind of a love-hate relationship. I don't love them, but I don't hate the games either. But they have. That's why I'm making this video, so that I can release it about the same time that the gameplay footage comes out. So it will explain to you why I did not go through and why I did not finish said games. So till next time, we'll see you, and we'll see if we can't do something a little bit more enjoyable, or a review of a game that like Donkey Kong Country or something like that we've already done, that we can get some stuff on there. So until next time, we'll see you